So would it be fair to say that when you're on podcasts, we talk about media interviewing, let's talk about storytelling. So a lot of what your work is based on is a concept of narrative and storytelling. So talk about that and how that kind of plays into what you're doing with immersion here. Why does it
So,
matter?
so as we looked at ways to not only create peak immersion moments, but sustain immersion, immersion is metabolically costly, and
Yeah.
the brain wants to get back to baseline. So when we see this immersion state, this peak immersion, the brain is investing a lot of resources in this experience. So the obvious question is, well, how do I sustain long-term peak immersion moments? And we looked at all kinds of stimuli, recorded live in person, and the most effective way to sustain neurologic immersion is by using a narrative arc. So that is storytelling. I introduce characters, I put them in an environment, I create some kind of conflict or tension and see how they resolve that conflict or tension, usually through some emotional state. So they go through some emotional turmoil to resolve this issue. And as social creatures, we are fascinated by the other humans, as I said in my TED talk. And storytelling is a way to communicate what other humans are doing that could be valuable to ourselves.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And back to the book Extraordinary Experiences. One of the things I love about the way the book is created or written, the format, and we're going to be rolling out a 5-star review for you later on the show. I'll just show you that. I've read through it, and I've read through it twice. I've got all these sticky marks noted throughout. And creating extraordinary what I'm thinking about is the whole storytelling narrative of what you said of protagonist and then an antagonist appears and there's some kind of danger and oxytocin. What exactly is happening when oxytocin is released in the brain? What is happening between us at that moment, in those moments?
Right. So I'm going to change that question a little bit, Tom, and say, what is immersion? How is immersion related to oxytocin? So the
Okay.
core drivers of immersion
Yeah.
are first, intentional response associated with a neurochemical called dopamine. And the second is emotional resonance, which is associated with oxytocin release. So dopamine and oxytocin have this interesting dance they do that
Yeah.
induces electrical activity in the brain that we can capture from our platform. And so immersion captures the emotional value of that experience, right? Value, as I said earlier, is largely emotional. And so storytelling is a way to transport myself
Yeah.
into another world, in a story world. Could be fiction, could be nonfiction. But when we do that well, our brain goes, oh, this is valuable. I'm a social creature.